first, please. How's Tom Lees doing?
He's following the medical protocol after his concussion. So let's see how he reacts to every step that he needs to give. For sure, tomorrow is not going to be available, but let's see if he doesn't have any reaction in the next steps, and we can have available for the next game.
Yeah, and related to that, Levi Colwill, is he going to be available tomorrow evening?
Yes, like I said before, he was just making one training before we play against Blackpool, but he was completed that training the day of the game. He was working, and after he has made a normal 3 days, so he's in a condition to be available tomorrow.
That's good news. And you were hopeful last week that Jonathan Hogg might be able to come back to training this week. Has that happened, or is he going to be next week?
No, he's going to be at the end of this week. So let's see if he continue, he keep growing and progressing well. We can have him after we play against Nottingham Forest in some of the parts of the training. He cannot make the full training, but he can start introducing to touch the ball and to start to work in the relation with the teammates.
And have you got any other sort of COVID concerns? Any new injuries, anything like that ahead of the game?
So far, no. I have to tell you so far because, like you say, with COVID, everything can change. So, but we don't have any update from the situation. We didn't lose any player of the players that were available the previous game. Then it means that we are going to have all the squad available, only the Tom Lees, because we need to continue following the normal protocol, and let's see how he progresses, if he can help the team in the next game.
And how's Pippa's recovery going?
He's fine. He's one player that like he was doing a lot of physical work, but with low intensity physical work. He's one player that even if he was long time without training with the group, he was working with the medical staff, and in the last trainings he was making normal training with the team. He is progressing well, and now in that point, if he is not available tomorrow, if I don't think that he can be tomorrow, he can be one player to help the team tomorrow in the next game, because even if he is far still of his fit level, he has some skill that he can compensate maybe the lack of high intensity effort that he was doing in the previous weeks. So he's progressing well, and let's see if he's with the squad tomorrow, or he can be in the squad in the next game, or directly after the New Year games.
That's excellent news. I mean, it's been a long time out for him. It must have been very frustrating for him and for you to have been without him for so long.
I think as soon as you have one type of injury like the one that he's having, you cannot be frustrated. You need to upset, even in knowing that every player wants to be training with the group, every player wants to be being part of the games, and he was important that he was managing well this process, because you start to be frustrated, you are not going to change the situation with the injury. So the only important thing is to be focused, making every work that you can do. That of course is not going to be enough of the work that football demands you, but try to be fit to arrive now to this moment and need less time or less weeks to can be helping and to can be involved with the team. I think he was managing well this process. That's why we can be thinking that he's close to be available with the team.
I know I only asked you last week about, the number of right wing backs you've got, and you said then that Sorba Thomas's best performances were at wing back and you were minded to keep him there, but he's then given you a good performance after you moved him to the wing on Sunday. So is that giving you something to think about in terms of how he might fit into your side from now on?
No, because for me, he was playing in similar position all the game. He was one of the players that was higher in the pitch. Even if he was defending as a winger, he was attacking as a winger. When he was defending as a wing back, he was attacking as a winger too. Usually one player that has the ability to cover all this distance. So I think that he's one player that when he have this running, always the running help the player to be connected with the game, because sometimes the effort that the game demand you increase the level of concentration with the game. And as soon as you have a lot of concentration with the game, I think you can make more impact in the game. That was one of the things that for me he was doing in the previous game.
And it's the last two results, obviously both very dramatic wins, both 3-2, both came from behind. Are you hoping for a bit more of a controlled game against Forest?
Every time we can be asking for more things, and every time we can be asking to play more. The perfect game, of course, is when you are, like you say, controlling the game. It will be the perfect game. Be controlling the ball, be just attacking, have the 100% of the time the ball, and be creating many chances and don't allow the opponent to have any chance. This is the game that, if I have to imagine the perfect game, will be that one. 90 minutes in offensive half, having the ball, creating chances, and don't allow them to opponent to add any type of pass. But we know that it's very difficult to see teams playing this with these possibilities. Maybe only one or two teams in the world are able to do this. But it's true that always we are going to try to demand more. We never want to be starting losing the game, because we know that as soon as you score, you concede one goal, you have a highest challenge with the opponent. It's true that for me, it's positive to show the reaction in the previous games, because without the immediate reaction to the goal that we concede in the two previous games, maybe we would have put the result on more risk. But for me, the team was react very well from the two goals. Against Bristol, after 2-3 minutes, having the opportunity, one chance that finished with a penalty. And the other day, immediately, the answer of the team was create the cross of Toffolo and the header of Danny Ward. But of course, not always, even when you react well, you're going to have the opportunity to score the goal. So it's important to avoid any type of opportunity of the opponent. If this happens, the solution always is react, and don't be thinking that just because the opponent scored one goal, you are not going to have opportunities of the game. If you can stop any opportunity of the opponent, it's the best thing, and we work for this. We don't work to concede one goal immediately in the beginning of the game, and it's something that we need to protect, we need to react, and we need to correct, because start one game in disadvantage never is going to be something positive.
Yeah, you mentioned Harry Toffolo there. I think we've seen a bit of an improvement out of him the last few games. He's got 3 assists in a row. What do you think he's been doing differently that was maybe a bit lacking before?
I think sometimes the positions take a little bit of time of adaptation to the player. I always say that for me, the best of Toffolo can appear when he's playing as a fullback, because I think when he has one winger in front of him, he will have one player with the one that can pass and can go. And I think the best of Toffolo when he pass and go. But when you are playing with a wing back and one winger that draw more, creating inside spaces, you need to adapt yourself. And always the time of adaptation, the adaptation needs a little bit of time. For some players need more, for some players need less. But as soon as you have what the player never can have, is to have mind limitation to the adaptation. Because if you analyze now the championship, for example, only 4 or 5 teams are playing with line of 4. All the other teams right now this year are playing with line of 5. 2 years ago, the last year, you find 3-4 teams or 4 or 5 teams that they will play with line of 5, and not always. And now football in 1 year is just total opposite. We are finding more teams that are playing with line of 5 than teams that play with line of 4. So it means that football always is growing, always is creating something new. Then what we need to do is to adapt to the new possibilities. I think Toffolo have in the mind now the ideas about what he can do to have the same impact that he had in attack when he's playing as a wing back and not when he's playing as a fullback.
Yeah, and Nottingham Forest, they've been excellent since, well, they had a run of form that basically started with their win at the John Smith Stadium. What are you expecting from them?
Exactly what you say. One team very competitive, like every single team in the championship. The other day, someone was showing to me that in the championship, every team was beating every team was beating every team, and every team was beaten by any team different. No, so every team has beat. You can make like a one cycle when any team was beating all the opponents. So at the end, it's so that every opponent is going to demand your best. So that's why always the concentration need to be in us. Of course, knowing which type of game we are going to face. We are going to face one type of game where Nottingham Forest are going to try to play from the back because this is the style that they have. This is the style that Steve Cooper have bring to the club. I have a lot of respect for Steve because for me he's one of the best coaches that I have played against. So it's true that it's going to be one very demanding game, like every game in Championship. Yes, it's going to be different in terms of the situation that are going to appear in the game, with two teams that are going to try to attack, are going to try to have the ball, are going to try to be aggressive in defense. Then what we need to be is concentrating ourselves to show all our strengths and to reduce any type of strengths of the opponent. And that is something easy to say, or of course it's going to be a high challenge to do, but this is the more nice challenge that we have when we are working in this job.
Yeah, I think on current form, the two games coming up, Forest away, Blackburn away, are two of the hardest fixtures you could possibly have asked for. But as you say, it's a good challenge. It's a good chance to make a statement for you, isn't it?
Always, we know that this is the Championship. This is the period of game in the Championship, and the Championship is full of good players. That's why Championship is one of the best competition in the world. So every time you have one game, you are going to have one challenge and one opponent to beat that is going to make difficult the work. But at the same time, this is the motivation that we can find. Beat always the difficulty, show always our strengths, show always our character and personality. And this is for me something that is going to be again key tomorrow to can have a positive result. That this is exactly what we have in all our mind.
We touched on this after the game, but Jordan Rhodes, I thought, came off the bench and had a good impact the other day. Are you maybe looking at whether you might play a front two for this game? We know that obviously Middlesbrough did that the other day and got a win against Forest.
Yes, and Middlesbrough was playing 3-5-2 because for me it's one team that is building with the new coaches working 3-5-2, but it doesn't mean that we need to play like them because they won the game. So for me, we have our style, we have our possibilities. One possibility is for me, the other day was clear that Rhodes and Danny Ward can play together, but depend the game, depend the moment, depend the minutes, and depend the play that we have. For me, we need to make the decision that help us to face the game in the best, with the more options for the squad that we have.
That's all from me. Thanks, Carlos. Good luck tomorrow.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Steve. Louis, I take it you're back full time now, mate. Welcome to you.
Yeah, just a couple. Hi, Carlos. Forgive me if Stephen asked, did we get an update on Tom Lees at all?
Yes, we are saying that he is following now the medical protocol. With the medical protocol, he had today one test. He was fine in the test that they did. It's a concussion test. It's in one computer. Now, tomorrow, he will have one part of work in the gym with some bicycle work. If he feels fine, he needs the next step with the physios in the pitch. If he's fine, he can give the next step with the players in the pitch. And if he's fine, he can be after with the team. So now the situation of him is going to depend about how he reacts to any of the steps that I told you.
Okay, thank you. And just one more from me, Carlos. We were talking to Harry Toffolo earlier about there's been obviously a lot of COVID postponements recently. Huddersfield Town haven't had to be in that situation, and you've got two positive results. Now, you're up to 6th again in the table. The chasing pack maybe have a couple of games in hand on you, but how valuable, how much do you value the 3 points over having games in hand, or do you value having games in hand more? What goes through your head in this situation?
My only focus is that every time we are going to play one game, we need to try to face the game in the best condition that we can and be the more competitive team that we can be. So for me to be the more competitive team that we can be, to have all our players available, is always something that helps you to be the more competitive team that you can be. Because like always I say, I have a lot of confidence with the group of players that I am working. And it's true that we are stronger when we have all our players available. With the COVID situation, of course, COVID made you weak in terms of that reduce the number of players that we have. Thanks to right now, we are not having any situation or any player with COVID. And of course, when you are playing games in a row, like the period of games that we are playing right now, always help you to be a strong team to don't suffer any COVID, because if not, you are losing players in one period, in one demanding period. So I think the medical decision to have the third vaccine help the team to prevent, to try to avoid any case of COVID. And this is something but is not the only measure that we need to control. Now we are reducing the time when we can be talking with the players. Now the players are not coming here to the breakfast. They are taking the things like a delivery from the training ground, the food. So we are making some modifications, some change of the normal habits that we are having, trying to reduce the impact of COVID in our group of players.
Brilliant. Thanks, Carlos. Good luck for tomorrow and for the Blackburn match.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Louis. Harry, thanks for your patience. We'll come to you.
Hi, Carlos. Just one from me. You just touched on there about adapting and changing the training ground and stuff. Obviously, we've been through this before, and humans are great to adapt, but it must have an impact as well of how you've had to change your methods and to get your message across and change your ways as well a little bit.
I think life and football are adaptation. So as soon as you don't adapt to the new demandings of the life of the football, you are not growing and you are not giving the right steps. Something we need to change. I can tell you that the changes that I have to do right now in the training ground are not high changes, or I didn't have to change any of our methods to work. But it's true that maybe we need to be more concerned that if the meeting is going to be more extensive, we need to divide the meeting in two to don't extend the time that we need to follow by the EFL regulations about the timing, the contact that we can be together in the same type of rooms. After the fact that we are not having the breakfast here, we are doing at home, or after they take the lunch to take away. At the end are small details that, of course, we need to manage, we need to adapt, but I don't see any impact, because at the end we have the option to work with all the 20 players in the pitch. That is the most important thing. And the most important thing too is to don't lose any of our players. So any type of small effort that we are doing that help us to have always our players available, never is going to be effort. It's going to be something that we are going to see as something positive that we need to do.
So, man, thank you very much.